Hello and welcome to the Evening News for today, Tuesday, May 27, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, standoff continues between Mayor Green and Tom Clark Suba as another meeting is called off. Ansi McCall says it's losing millions because counterfeit products increasing at marketplaces. Man collapses at Georgetown Magistrates Court after drinking poisonous substance. UC Koyana testifies at Walter Rodney COI, and Pakistan's PM engages new Indian PM after historic swearing-in ceremony. Now for the news in detail. Health Minister Dr. Barry Ramsaran today revealed that 2 cases of chikungunya have been identified in Guyana. During a media briefing, the minister said that after there was an outbreak of the disease in the Caribbean, steps were taken by the ministry to monitor the situation here. 84 cases of persons with the symptom were identified, however, only 30 samples were sent to Trinidad for testing. Ramsaran added that on Saturday last, 8 reports were returned from the lab, which identified 2 positive cases. He disclosed that the cases are from the Kanchi area. One is from Cumberland and the other from Canefield. The cases involved a 4-year-old and a 40-year-old woman. The power struggle at the Georgetown City Council continued today when another statutory meeting was called off, this time by Mayor Hamilton Green. Jomo Paul reports.
When questioned on the reasons behind the decision to call off the meeting, Deputy Mayor Patricia Chase Green said that there were shady characters in the compound and the councillors have expressed fear for their lives.
As I came into statutory meeting today, there were shady characters both outside and inside of the building, which has over a period of time caused all councillors and some staff members to be fearful of their lives. We will not be intimidated by these members.
The Mayor Hamilton Green pointed out that he is taking steps to ensure that the security of his councillors is not compromised.
As recently as this morning, asked the Chief Constable to take cognizance of those facts and to take appropriate action. I will say no more on this matter, since it's a matter of concern to us, and it is apparent that that intervention is part of a wider scheme to distract us from our duties and to make this council duly elected impotent.
Meanwhile, Tom Clark Suba said that the keys to the locked door have been missing for a period of time. Council-elected Tom Clerk Royston King was not present at the statutory meeting. For the Evening News, Jomo Paul.
Ansi McCall Trading Limited is experiencing a drop in sales due to the increasing presence of counterfeit products on the Guyana market. Today, the company confirmed that millions are being lost while the health of the population is being jeopardized by the unscrupulous practices of known and unknown elements. Details from Svetlana Marshall.
Ansi McCall's managing director Beverly Harper said there has been a 15% drop in sales for Procter & Gamble products, primarily Head & Shoulders, Pantene and Olay, due to the increasing circulation of counterfeit goods. Speaking at Ansi McCall head office, Harper said Procter & Gamble executed a series of tests on the counterfeit products over the past weeks.
The real proof of the pudding is in the product. According to Procter & Gamble, when they tested the product, this does not have, and let me get this absolutely right. Head & Shoulders carries pyrithione zinc inside. This is what stops dandruff. Pyrithione zinc. I'm not sure if it's pyrithione or pyrithione, but it's written right there, and it does not have it. You'll see it. They call it ZPT for short. This one doesn't have it. If you look at the 2 products, if you pour that one for me, that's the fake product. This is the, as you can see, this is dramatically different.
While Ansi McCall is affected by this intrusion, Harper opined that consumers could be adversely affected by using these products. It was posited that counterfeit products often remain with importers longer than recommended, and after becoming aged and expire, these products with questionable ingredients are sold to unsuspecting customers at a heavily discounted price. In this scenario, the issue was brought to the company's attention by the Government Analyst Food and Drug Department.
The answer, Macau are always interested in the consumer. We are very worried about this particular phenomena. We want to nip it in the bud. I want to advise those that are doing it and bringing it in. We suggest you don't do so anymore because the Food and Drugs Department have advised us that they're going to seize any. So I'll also tell retailers, if you realize that now that you have this product, I suggest you call up Food and Drugs. Mm-hmm. If you've been doing so willingly, I suggest you desist because Food and Drugs have promised that they are going to remove these items. They know which to look for now, and they will remove it.
It was also disclosed that the company has experienced a 25% shortfall in sales of Heineken due to the import and sale of expired Heineken. It is unclear how many of these illegal products are in circulation, but based on information, importers have been named. Investigations are continuing by the Food and Drug Department. Svetlana Marshall reporting for the Evening News.
Private Sector Chairman Ramesh Prasad today fired back at the opposition political parties and their business interests that have accused the advocacy body of being a front for the ruling People's Progressive Party Civic. Gabriela Patram reports.
Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Mr. Ramesh Prasad, has stated that the PSC is not a front for the PPPC administration. In an exclusive interview with the Evening News, Prasad contended that the PSC has established professional relationships with all the political parties and is duty-bound to look at issues by putting the interests of Guyanese first.
It's better we work with people than we fight with people, okay? And that's the perspective. I mean, we've been working with the government, but that doesn't necessarily make us an arm of the government. But the government is significant in our country, and that many of the policies that the private sector is trying to push, we have to go through the government, all right? Our job is also to ensure that the government is accountable, and we hope that we can bring those issues to the fore. But I don't subscribe to that fact. I mean, commentators will always make that view. We have the same problem with the government. If we say something that they don't like, they say we're anti-government. If we say something that the political parties don't like, they say we're pro-government, but we represent the private sector.
He added that the commentators looking in will always have comments like those to make because they do not understand the role of the chamber, which is also to represent the interests of businesses.
From our perspective, from where we sit, we have a very good relationship with the opposition, the APNU, the AFC, and even the government, all right? Because we are an advocacy body, we are not in the position to make rules and make laws and so forth. All we can do is voice the concern of our people and our members and our representatives and make it known to all parties. And in a country such as ours, we can't make our concerns only known to the government. We have to make our concerns known to all stakeholders, including the opposition. So we have been working with them and allowing them to understand our concerns.
He also noted that the PSC will continue to have dialogue with the respective parties about pressing issues that are affecting Guyana, especially in relation to the anti-money laundering bill. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Relatives of a 57-year-old woman are looking for answers after the woman was found dead in her Enmore East Coast Demerara home on Sunday morning. The dead woman has been identified as Skila Prasad of Lot 29 Enmore North, East Coast Demerara. According to reports, the woman was discovered by her reputed husband on the floor in their bedroom at around 11 hours. Her body bore marks of violence. The woman's reputed husband, 59-year-old Nazir Khan, called Chaila, was taken into custody on Sunday to assist with investigations. Relatives are alleging that the woman's body had marks of violence and there was a wound at the back of her head. They are calling on the police to thoroughly investigate the matter. Prasad's body is at the Likens Funeral Home awaiting a post-mortem examination, which is expected to be done tomorrow. The woman leaves to mourn her 5 children, siblings, and other relatives. Guyanese politician and co-founder of the Working People's Alliance, UC Koyana, today took to the stand as the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry recommenced at the Supreme Court Library building in Georgetown. Koyana told the commission about the political climate at the time, pointing out that the government of the day was in a state of preparedness for Rodney's return to Guyana. Alexis Rodney was there and filed this report.
The now 89-year-old Quayana, who traveled from San Diego, California to present his evidence, told the commission that the People's National Congress government had already labeled Dr. Walter Rodney a troublemaker, both in Tanzania and Jamaica, and was somewhat prepared for his entrance into Guyana. Quayana pointed out that although Dr. Rodney was of a younger political generation, he was an astounding political educator. He told the commission of Rodney's struggles returning to a country that he described as a closed kind of society.
It was not a time when Dr. Jagan speaking in Georgetown was a welcome thing, especially for the rival party. I refer in my statement to a legitimacy war going on. And this is just another form of description that I am using in my own analysis of the political situation in Guyana. I think for this purpose that is a more updated explanation. There was a legitimacy war between the PPP and the PNC as to who was the rightful ruler of Guyana. So the PNC, ruling at the time with a 2/3 majority, could not allow certain people to speak to the citizens of Georgetown.
He cited Dr. Rodney's rejection from the University of Guyana by the UG Council. Quayana reported that Rodney had already secured the post as head of the history department of the University of Guyana by the institution's board, but was later denied the position. He said the political activist was among the many that raised their voices in condemnation of the inhumane acts by the leadership of the day. He said too that although many Guyanese had never met Dr. Rodney, he had become quite popular under their lips after he was banned from Jamaica. Quayana cited the participation of the House of Israel organization that was a driving force behind the breaking up of many of the anti-government rallies.
Our public meetings were attacked. Our public meetings were assaulted. And I can say, I hope I'm not going to be asked for names because I'm not carrying out a witch hunt. I'm talking about what took place. Everybody knows the House of Israel. It had a radio program. Its leader was Rabbi Washington. He was able to appeal to Africans and convince them, many Africans I should say, not everybody, and convince them that they were in fact Jews. And this I suppose gave a lot of Africans of the lower income group, especially those who were down and out, and some others too, a sense of being somebody, because Jews were very much known in the world by that time.
He said that the issues of the 1970s, including the high presence of the House of Israel in the capital, were as a result of ethnic insecurities. He said the government of the day had little concern for human life, citing the killings of Father Dark, Government Minister Vincent Tika, and teenager Keith Caesar. The Commission of Inquiry continues tomorrow, where Quayana will continue his evidence. Also listed to testify during this session, which will last some 9 days, are Father Malcolm Rodriguez, former member of the House of Israel Joseph Hamilton, WPM Executive Member Takuma Ogunsei, and Norman McLean. For the Evening News, I'm Alexis Rodney.
In the courts, 33-year-old Sean Hooper of New Amsterdam today collapsed after consuming Gramoxone in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. He is currently listed as critical at the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he is receiving treatment. Hooper was previously imprisoned after he was engaged in a domestic violence matter with his reputed wife, Hyant Ellis. He showed up at the court after a restraining order against him by his wife was filed. During the court proceedings, the man began to froth and was rushed to the hospital, but not before confessing to consuming the poisonous substance. Join us after the break for more news. This is the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The ruling People's Progressive Party Civic today maintained that the Hallmark Marriott Hotel project remains one of the most transparent projects undertaken and will boost the country's overall development and tourism portfolio. Let's find out more in this report.
General Secretary of the PPPC administration, Clement Rohi, has stated that government welcomes and supports the recent release of information on the investors in the Marriott project. He said the project remains to enjoy a high level of transparency when considered the amount of information that has been available to the public and the National Assembly of Guyana.
The Marriott project is one of Guyana's transformational projects, which has received support from many quarters, including the private sector, the Tourism Association of Guyana. The project has only been deemed controversial due to the few parties opposed to the project. The Pegasus Hotel owner, who is known to be a key supporter of the AFC, certain leaders of the TUC that are strong supporters of the APNU, the AFC and APNU, and certain media outfits aligned to the opposition.
Additionally, the PPP said it welcomes the announcement by Republic Bank that the US $27 million in debt financing for the project has been syndicated and is close to completion.
The PPP also welcomes the announcement that an affiliated company of the majority investor will be providing additional financing for the outfitting of the entertainment complex, that is at least US $4 million, and will be operating the entertainment complex and guaranteeing to AHI returns projected in the HVS feasibility study.
Minister Rohi also welcomed the approval given by Republic Bank and the Marriott of the new Hong Kong investors that have been selected to fund the project. For the Evening News, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Onika Freeman, a single mother of Bagastang, was granted $100,000 bail when she today appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Priya Sinrain Bihari to answer to a charge of trafficking narcotics. It is alleged that on May 22, 2014, at about 17 hours 30, police received information from credible sources that the defendant had in her possession illegal substances. Police ranks visited the defendant's home in Bagastang and were carrying out a search when they noticed that the defendant threw a black plastic bag on the ground. The bag was opened, and in her presence, 1 gram of cocaine and 20 grams of marijuana were found. The defendant is to return to court on June 2, 2014. The Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, the CIOG, says it strongly condemns last week's killing of 30 innocent people, including women and children in India and the state of Assam. The CIOG in a release noted that the well-being of India and its people is close to the heart of Guyana, especially since about 50% of Guyanese are of Indian descent and they include Muslims and Hindus. The CIOG pointed out that the communal violence in India and those behind it should be condemned since it has ramifications for the well-being and stability of the multicultural, multi-religious democracy here in Guyana. Members of the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry, along with members of the Commission's legal counsel and other legal representatives, today observed a minute's silence for the Trinidadian Senior Counsel Dana Sitahal, who was gunned down early this month in her home country. Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Sir Richard Cheltenham, said that Sitahal will be greatly missed. This was seconded by fellow Trinidadian and legal representative for the Rodney family, Keith Scotland, who said that the late senior counsel was indeed a powerhouse in her profession. The execution-style killing of Sitahal on May 4 last rattled the country's composure and had set nerves and edges under a descending pile of grief and anxiety over the land. Sometime at around 12 hours 5, Sitahal was in her Volkswagen SUV when 2 vehicles pulled alongside her, causing her to stop. One of the vehicles, a Nissan Wing Road, then drove ahead a short distance and pulled across the road, blocking it. The other vehicle, which was described as a panel van, pulled alongside, and the occupants of that vehicle pulled out their firearms and opened fire on the SUV. The tight power supply schedule to Madhya and other surrounding communities in Region 8 is expected to improve as a new generator purchased by government to address the problem is now installed and will become operational very soon. Regional Executive Officer Ronald Harsawak informed residents over the weekend that a new generating set that was procured at a cost of $85 million has been installed and will be tested over the next few days before coming into full operation. Residents have been affected by serious rationing of electricity in Madhya from 24 to 12 hours. Harsawak explained that this has been due to the Madhya power and lights shortfall as a result of limited resources. He explained that the operational cost of the Madhya power and light has for long far exceeded the revenue accrued. The company does not have enough customers on the power grid to get enough revenue so as to generate 24 hours of electricity. RSUAC explained that there are just about 500 customers in the grid and about 85 do not pay for their power generation. For a reason that is the first 15 kilowatt of power is free. Join us after the break for more news. This is the Evening News. This is Evening News. Welcome back. After hours of stiff competition, Rafia Hussain was crowned Miss Guyana World 2014 in the wee hours of this morning at the National Cultural Center. Let's take a look.
The new Miss World Guyana for 2014 is Rafia Hussain.
Hussain, who has a wealth of experience in pageantry, will be Guyana's representative at this year's Miss World pageant in London.
Now, when you heard the final question, what came to mind?
Oh my goodness, I was scared. I was petrified. I was like, 2 questions, and I know sometimes the rule is 30 seconds to answer, and I was a little skeptical. I was like, I don't want to go beyond 30 seconds, but I don't want to rush either. But I took it in stride, and domestic violence is a passion of mine. I am a domestic violence victim, and it's something that I can talk openly and freely about because it's something I've been through, and it's something that I'd like to advocate for.
Meanwhile, the former Miss World Rakaya Boyer, in an invited comment, stated that she was a bit sad that she had to give up her reign.
I know that it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of skill and a lot of talent in order to become triumphant. And I think at the end of the day, whoever is the best person, whoever brings the confidence to the stage, they're the person that deserves it. And the judge's decisions are final. But I am somewhat bittersweet because, you know, it's the end of my reign. Like, after 2 years, it's time to put down the gloves. But I look forward to other adventures because next week I'm heading out to flight school in Vegas, so I have no troubles, ain't got no worries.
Miss Region 4 Atisha Caskell cupped the first prize, while Miss Region 5 Danica Williams and Miss Region 6 Anaya Whitehead cupped the second and third prize respectively in this year's pageant. Here are some other highlights from the pageant.
And this piece is called Mineral Wealth.
Lorraine Blanche, by Dubai's leading designer, Frost.
For the Evening News, I'm Gabriella Patram.
Your regional, international, bridge and ferry reports are after the break. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. Now some news from the region. The International Press Institute, the IPI, on Monday condemned recent threats against Trinidad and Tobago journalist Mark Bassant that led to the reporter leaving the country last week in fear of his life. The institute said the threats made against Bassant's life have highlighted the dangers that journalists faced when attempting to reveal information that is in a public interest, even in a country like Trinidad and Tobago, where this form of harassment is unusual. The IPI Press Freedom Manager Barbara Tiffany urged the authorities to fully investigate these threats and bring the perpetrators to justice. Bassant, a senior investigative journalist with the Caribbean Communications Network TV6, said he had received the threats while working on sensitive investigative material, and that both National Security Minister Gary Griffith and Acting Police Commissioner Stephen Williams had been made aware of the threats. The Trinidad Express newspaper, a sister company of the television station, reported that the key underworld criminals had made a death threat against Bassant. Internationally, a Sudanese woman awaiting the death penalty for abandoning her religious faith has given birth in jail near the capital, Khartoum. Mariam Yahya Ibrahim Ishaq married a Christian man and was sentenced to hang for apostasy earlier this month after refusing to renounce Christianity. She is allowed to nurse her baby girl for 2 years before the sentence is carried out. Born to a Muslim father, she was convicted by a Sharia court. The Sudan has a majority Muslim population which is governed by Islamic law. Ibrahim was also convicted of adultery on the grounds that her marriage to a Christian man from South Sudan was void under Sudan's version of Islamic law, which says Muslim women cannot marry non-Muslims. For this, the judge sentenced her to 100 lashes, which will reportedly be carried out when she has recovered from giving birth. India's new Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged his Pakistani counterpart to crack down on militants and speed up the trial of the 2008 Mumbai attacks suspects. Modi held bilateral talks with Nawaz Sharif on his first day in office. The Pakistani leader said that they should put the legacy of mistrust behind them and work for peace and stability. Sharif attended Mr. Modi's swearing-in on Monday amid hopes of a thaw in relations between the rivals who have fought 3 wars since independence. Modi also underlined their concerns related to terrorism, the Indian Foreign Secretary Sujata Singh said after the talks. Excitement over Prime Minister Sharif's trip to Delhi is rooted in a history lesson that points to the opposite direction. The two sides discussed trade, and the PM said the two countries could immediately move towards normalizing trade ties. In a brief statement, Sharif described the talks as good and constructive and said they were held in a cordial atmosphere. Meanwhile, Modi also held bilateral talks with Afghan President Hamid Karzai today. The Prime Minister thanked him for help in dealing with last week's attack on an Indian diplomatic mission in Afghanistan's Herat province. Modi said that bilateral talks with the Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa, Nepal PM Sushil Koiraila, and leaders of the Maldives, Bhutan, Mauritius and Bangladesh. Sharif's present at Monday's historic swearing-in was the first time since India and Pakistan won freedom from Britain in 1947 that a Prime Minister from one state had attended such a ceremony in the other. 45 MPs, including 7 women from Modi's BJP party and their allies, were also sworn in as ministers. In case you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. We now take a look at your bridge reports. The Damrar Harbour Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, May 28 at 14 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours, and the Burbridge River Bridge will be closed on Wednesday, May 28 at 16 hours 35 for a period of 1.5 hours. And for those of you using the ferry service, the Purican Supernam ferries will be departing at 4 hours on Wednesday, May 28. Both ferries are also slated to depart their respective locations at 17 hours on Wednesday, May 28. Join us after the break for sports, sponsored by MarkWalk. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. Now for a look at sport, but first the headlines. PPPC labels synthetic track a landmark achievement. Melanie A to represent East Coast in Guinness football. Associations unaware of selection of under-17 teams, and rain brings premature end to media and umpires game. Of course, the sportcast comes to the kind compliments of MarkWalk.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. But that is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. Mark on. Let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for the details. The People's Progressive Party Civic has described the construction of a synthetic track at Leonora as a landmark achievement and a fulfillment of a promise in its manifesto. This is according to General Secretary of the party, Clement Rohi. Speaking at the party's weekly press briefing at Freedom House, Rohi said the PPP has always stated its firm commitment to the development and expansion of sport and the requisite facilities to help the country's sportmen and women reach their full potential and continue to represent Guyana well internationally.
This state-of-the-art facility will see Guyana hosting more international athletic competitions, which fits into the PPP Civic government's ongoing efforts to promote another tourism product, that is, sports tourism.
Rohi said the party is heartened at the ongoing support of the government to other sporting organizations and the erection of facilities across the country.
We wish to state as a matter of public record that the successive PPP administrations have never shirked their responsibilities when it comes to the promotion of sports and support for our athletes. The evidence is in the public domain to show. Under the PPP Civic administration, the Guyana National Stadium at Providence was constructed. The Island Sport Complex was refurbished and fitted with floodlights, making it ideal for night cricket, football, and other sporting events.
Rohi further stated that the government has invested hundreds of millions of dollars into sport and facilities since it assumed office in 1992, noting that under the previous administration, there were no proper facilities in the country.
Since the PPPC took office, the budgetary allocations for this sector, like every other, continues to grow every year. The PPP recommits itself to continuously improving the landscape to help our athletes reach their full potential.
As part of its commitment to the development of sport, the government this year allocated $300 million towards the upgrade of community grounds across the country. Officials of the East Coast Cricket Board and the Georgetown Cricket Association are puzzled as to who selected their respective under-17 teams to compete in the Demerara Cricket Board's inter-association cricket competition. The tournament was scheduled to commence this morning. Ratchet Bisnot reports.
The two bodies are also protesting the move by the purported DCB to organize the tournament, demonstrating their non-recognition of the body and its unknown executives headed by businessman Rat Singh. President of the Georgetown Cricket Association, Roger Harper, speaking with this sportscast, claimed that the GCA did not submit a team to the purported DCB, since to his understanding there is an injunction against the body. On the other hand, a chairman of the selection panel of the ECCB, Raymond Barton, stated that the board has not released a squad to participate in the tournament. He also indicated that the ECCB cannot be part of any DCB organized tournaments at the moment, since the DCB does not exist.
No, we didn't name it. And the thing is that I'm the chairman for the newly selected on the East Coast Cricket Board. So nobody contact me. As a matter of fact, they couldn't even contact me because there's no Demerara board. The thing is, when these guys get together, who they are, and name a team, they name a team in very discriminatory fashion. You know, they don't run no competition in the schools. They don't know the players. All them guys just come and they name some players and they're publishing the papers. I don't know why these guys are not in the lap. No, we don't even know that there's a Demerara board. Far less to recognize the Demerara board. But I know for sure that there's an injunction stopping anybody, any group of person, acting on behalf of the Demerara board or even holding elections purporting to be the Demerara board executive.
The DCB for the past 4 years has been covered in a number of court cases caused by a crippling power struggle that resulted in factions led by businessmen Bisundal Singh and Rat Singh. Eventually, a court ruling in the High Court prohibited both factions from acting on behalf of the entity. Surprisingly, the Rat Singh faction of the DCB subsequently held elections, but more than a year later, it is unclear who were the persons elected to hold positions on the board. The ECCB and GCA were not part of the DCB elections.
Hours before the elections, another injunction was served against the Rat Singh faction. Observers maintain that elections were held so as to ensure that there was some amount of legality to the now defunct Guyana Cricket Board elections that were held 2 days after.
Now for some football news. A solitary goal was all that was required for Melanie A to march into the national playoff for the Guinness Greatest of the Streets football competition this weekend. The Melanie boys prevailed over Better for Acting B in the final of the East Coast leg on Sunday night. In a keenly contested final, the Melanie lads prevailed 1-0 in front of not a large crowd at the Hassington Market Square tarmac. The eventual champs were indebted to national striker Dwight Peters, who found a small goal as early as the second minute of the game to hand his team the $300,000 first prize and, more importantly, a place in a national playoff. Melanie A will now join 4 teams from Georgetown and 3 from Linden in the national playoff built for this weekend, according to Guinness brand manager Lee Baptiste.
The national final is going for 2 days, and the winning team from that tournament will represent Guyana in Trinidad in the Caribbean Championships. But because it's just for 2 days, we can expect a great final because it's a knockout. And you know, teams are going all out to see who represent Guyana in Trinidad. So I'd encourage the fans to come out, support their teams from the community, and may the best team win.
Meanwhile, director of the Petra organization, Troy Mendonca, said the concept of street football continues to excite the masses, as was evident by another large turnout of spectators during the 3 nights of competition on the East Coast.
It's a phenomenal tournament. In my experience in organizing football, I think as a grassroots event, you know, it is really hold its own over the years, and tonight's demonstration again was, what we've been saying all the time.
In the third place playoff, Melanie B team walked away with a 1-0 victory over Victoria Churchyard United. The winner of the national playoff will be Guyana's representative at the Guinness Caribbean Street Challenge, fixed for early June in Trinidad and Tobago. And finally, a heavy downpour at the innings break brought a premature end to the T20 game between the Media 11 and the Georgetown Cricket Association scorers and umpires on Monday at the GCC ground border. Let's find out more in this report.
The heavy shower, which lasted for about 45 minutes, effectively ended the game, which attracted a decent-sized crowd. During the on-field action prior to the downpour, the Media 11 sent into bat after skipper Calvin Roberts lost the toss, made 91 for 7 from the allotment of 20 overs. With the pitch offering much assistance to the slower bowlers, the Media 11 found scoring tough, being reduced to 43 for 6 with Rajiv Bisnot, Daniel Singh, Avinash Ramzan, Keon Blade, Calvin Roberts and Sean Devers all falling cheaply. It took a partnership of 48 between opener John Ram Singh and left-hander Ravi Basod to prop up the Media 11 towards the end of the innings. The right-handed Ram Singh remained unbeaten on a responsible 32, which included a solitary boundary, while Basod, who was dismissed off the final delivery of the innings, made 24, inclusive of 2 boundaries. Bowling for the umpires and scorers, left-arm spinner Trevor Ritney took 3 wickets while Nigel Duguid picked up 2. After the match was called off, the 2 teams decided to meet again in another T20 contest, tentatively set for Caricom Day. However, the Media boys will be in action again this Sunday when they take on the Enmore over 40 team in a T20 match at the Enmore Community Centre ground from 14 hours. For the Evening News, Michael Young reporting.
And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by MarCorp. And that has brought us to the end of And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by MarCorp. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc., 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. And that's a wrap on the evening news for today, Tuesday, May 27, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. On behalf of all of us here, it's bye for now.